The big one, and this is a big one, is a good game. Oklahoma was probably just outside our top 15, probably 16 or 17 in my mind. Michigan is our number 13 team.
Yep.
Michigan going on the road with a true freshman quarterback against Venables and that defense and that defensive line. I'll give it to you first, EMAC. Kind of what are your first thoughts as we get ready for this matchup?
Yeah, super excited to see this just because of Bryce Underwood, primarily. And then you've got my boy BV, over at Oklahoma and just the talent, the roster that they've assembled. You've got Jim Nagy there as your general manager, former Senior Bowl executive, and, just how he kind of acquires talent, looks at talent. I think that's a match made in heaven. But, you get John Mateer, and then all the pieces kind of surround around that. So this quarterback battle is fantastic. You've got the old vet that people are really excited about. Then you got the new kid on the block that, man, after that game or during that game where we first saw him in live action, Twitter was on fire. Everybody's just like, man, this guy is an absolute freak. And he is. I mean, he is a huge dude with a rocket launcher arm. What I love the most, which you don't really see this typically from super young guys. He was very decisive. I mean, he was going, boom, there's my guy. Boom, and making a decision, not hesitating, not scrambling around trying to out-athlete everybody, which I'm sure he could for a long time as he's been playing, but making quick decisions. And for me, kind of, how I want to pivot this back to you, just what is your mindset as a young guy? You have that, starter game, kind of a preseason game. We kept score, we kept the record. But then you got this next. And I think that's good. You got some confidence. Your offensive coordinator's like, okay, let's go. Because I don't want them to be conservative like we did see with Arch and with Julian in the Texas-Ohio State game. Do you think that build trust for that offensive coordinator to say, hey, let's let it rip, let him be him?
Well, I think it did 100%. I think that's the biggest thing that jumped off the tape to me too, watching Bryce Underwood, was the anticipation. Like, that usually takes a long time to kind of build of, hey, man, I get to my third step, ball's out now. I mean, we talked about it, and I did some stuff with quarterback breakdowns this week where you see guys that have played that we're still struggling with timing, that we're still struggling with what am I seeing defensively? Am I trusting my eyes? Am I trusting my progressions? Am I just letting it rip? And there was, like, I think 1 or 2 times I remember watching this game for Michigan, the first game, where he threw the football and the receiver was not ready. And I always remember this from Coach Reed, and he always told the receivers this when I was in Kansas City: you are on the quarterback's timing. It is your job if you have to shorten your route by a yard, you got to shorten your route by a yard. But the quarterback's feet are going to dictate to him when he needs to release the football. And obviously, as a quarterback, we can, cheat it at times. We could do a slower 5 or deeper 5. We could do a hitch. But still, like, our timing with our feet, because it's a West Coast offense, our feet tell us when to throw the football, when to get to number 2, when to get to number 3, when to get the check down, and when to run. And Bryce's footwork in that first game was just like that. It was bam, I see it. My footwork's telling me to throw the football. I'm throwing it. And that's going to tell the guys around him, his receivers, his tight ends, his running backs, I got to play on his timing, because he's playing at an elevated level right now when it comes to that, which was, for a young guy making his first start, big time impressed. But going back to your question, Mac, it's tough because you want to protect him a little bit. And I think the way Justice Hayes ran in the first game, 159 yards,
definitely helps.
You can trust him, but you are going against a really good Oklahoma defensive front.
Yeah.
And can you bully those guys around? Can you just run the football? So I think it's a balance of feeling it out a little bit, getting him on the move because he can throw well on the run. But I do think that you saw enough good things from him, yes, against a lesser opponent, where you can't hold back. And I remember, listen, I'm not calling out my boy Bobo here real quick, but I remember I had a really good first game my freshman year, redshirt freshman year. Second game versus South Carolina, I played well, but I did feel like we were kind of protecting me, and we ended up losing the football game.
Oh, man.
And I just think that, dude, you're getting paid a lot of money. I think that's a big deal too. You showed a lot of good stuff. So I would lean to be a little bit more aggressive, and not wait to the second half like we saw with Notre Dame in their game this past weekend.
What kind of indicators, now that obviously you had an unbelievable career, you've been on the analyst side, you've been around unbelievable coaches. What would dictate that, I guess? Like, why would Bobo hold you back versus why would this guy let, Bryce go crazy? What kind of proves that you need to do one or the other?
Well, I think it's who are we playing? What do we anticipate our defense doing against that team? And do we need to press it early? I think that's a big thing too. It's like, do we feel like our defense going against Oklahoma's offense and their offensive line and a new quarterback? Yeah, he knows the system because came over with the OC from Washington State. But do we feel like our defense matches up well enough where we can just kind of keep this game in a bubble a little bit early on? Kind of, first couple rounds, get a couple jabs in there and not feel like the game's going to get out of control. That way we can ease him into the game. So I don't know, man. Like I tweeted this and I was not BSing at all. He is one of the most gifted freshman quarterbacks that I have ever seen on tape. I mean, one of the most gifted. Anticipation, arm strength, the accuracy. He checked off a lot of boxes. Not saying he's going to be perfect all year because no one's going to be perfect all year, especially a young kid. But, man, it's hard if I'm an OC not to say, like, I want to put him in this bubble and I want to kind of feel out the game. But I also want to win, and I want to trust this kid a little bit too.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think some of it, practice can only get you so far, right? Like you can see great habits, you can see great things, but you have to see it when it matters. You have to see it when if a mistake's making, there are big ramifications. And I think having that week one that they did certainly will allow that. Now it's just kind of what can you earn in this game? How can you show that you can make the right decision? And guess what? The right decision might be throwing it away. The right decision might be just taking that sack, not making it worse, holding and protecting the football, and then we move on and we deal with that situation. A lot of people think the right decision is forcing it. Oh, he made the right decision. He threw between two guys. That was it. No. Don't make a bad thing worse. Coach Rick used to say that all the time. Do not make a bad situation worse. Do not exacerbate anything there. And again, that might have a tendency to happen because you're going against this Brett Venables defense. And the
I think also too from a mindset from Underwood as well, it's understanding that you've probably been a superstar your entire life.
Correct.
You've probably rarely had bad games, and throwing 55 to 60% for 180 yards and a touchdown or two and winning, it could still be a good game and still 100%. Win it to you in this type of ball game. So I think that for some quarterbacks, you're telling me that I didn't throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. Like, that's not a good game. Like, no. Yeah. Just do what it takes to win the damn football game, Bryce.
Exactly.
That's all you got to do. Do what it takes to win the football game. It's shifting your mentality from stats to winning. I ain't worried about stats.
Correct.
I'm worried about winning. And if winning means checking it down, winning means, to your point, throwing out of bounds, that's how the really good quarterbacks become great quarterbacks.
No, 100%. And speaking of Brent Venables, let's go to his team a little bit here, specifically looking at this quarterback, because I love this matchup. It's like the present versus the future, and maybe Bryce is the present right now. We'll see. We'll see what happens after this game. But John Mateer looked fantastic. I think we were both really excited about him coming in. Super excited about what he did afterwards. There was some inconsistencies. We talked to some people, which we might talk to some more people about, some of the offensive line play and establishing the run and how do you do that. But hey, at the end of the day, you're paying this guy this much money. You got him here. I'm fine with letting him let it rip. And if he wants to be involved in the run game, sure. Let's figure that out too. But what was your, just observation with this offense and maybe something you want to see more coming into this game?
Well, I thought he looked great. I mean, I was not doubting that he would come in there with a lot of confidence. I thought the receivers looked obviously significantly better than they were a year ago with Lewis and Burks. He was letting it rip. It was the same thing we talked about timing with Michigan and their quarterback. It was, I hit my back step and that ball's out now. He doesn't have the same pop as Bryce does, but accurate with the football. A couple ones died a little bit towards the outside. That just shows you that the arm strength is good, not elite, but still can make all the throws. To me, it's the run game and the inability to get going. Only 3.2 yards per carry,
which was
against
weird.
A lesser opponent.
Yeah, strange.
And I know that you didn't have maybe your top 5 guys out there, and they're going to get their top 5 guys this week. But I don't care if you have 3 or 4 of your top guys going against that defense. 3.2 yards per carry, Emac, is just not good enough at all. So that's where I'm watching. It's like, you can throw the football, but this is a good Michigan defense, and if you're one-dimensional,
it's hard.
I'm not saying you got to go out there and run for 150 to 200.
Correct.
But I think LSU is a perfect example. Wasn't a stellar running game,
sure,
but it was 108 yards against a good defense, and they stuck to it. And that's what I need to see. I can't see a game where you're only run for 80, 90 yards and it's 3 yards per carry. Like that,
Right.
that ain't going to get it done for
Well,
special.
and it just, you become so predictable, and it puts you in a bad spot, puts you in a really tough spot when I know that you know that we know you can't run. That's not good. And so how do you try to reestablish that? Do you get creative with Ott? Do you get him out in space? Because I think that's the ticket. Again, you go out and get a guy that has a lot of expectation. You have to use him to the best of his ability. Is that outside zone? Is it sweeps? Is it just tossing him the ball, letting him create out in space? If you don't feel good about that interior, you got to find it in different ways. You have to still establish something else to keep the defense off guard, to not just allow them to tee off and not just expect that. And you brought up the wide receivers when we were kind of talking about this. I thought they looked great for Oklahoma. Yep. And they're nice. They're a really good piece. This defense, though, I think has a chance to be really special. You look at that D line that's kind of led by R. Mason there, a guy that was freaky last year. He's going to build upon it this year. And then the depth, that's something that you really like just in general for this D line.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're able to rotate that D-line position and not really lose anything from going 1 to 2 and keeping those guys fresh as they try to chase around Bryce Underwood, as they try to slow down Justice Hayes, the new running back there at Michigan. So, yeah, I love this defense. I think Venables, too, like Bryce Underwood going on the road for the first time.
Correct.
That place is going to be loud.
Yeah.
It's going to be intimidating. You got Venables, elite defensive line, elite defense from top to bottom. What Venables does schematically as well on top of that. It's like, that's why I sit back and say, like, do I trust Oklahoma's offense right now? I'm still wait and see, because of the run game. I like Mateer, I like the receivers, but you got to have a little bit more balance for me. But I love the defense. I love the schematics. And I love the fact that you're going against a freshman quarterback that's going to see a pretty advanced defense for the first time in his career on the road there in Norman. So I think Oklahoma wins this game.
Okay.
I think it's a close game, though, because I like Michigan's defense still. And I still think Bryce is going to be able to make some plays that are going to be like, whoa, like we see how talented this young man is. So, but I lean on the veteran quarterback and John Mateer, the veteran defense, and the fact that you're at home in this football game.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I think we keep bringing up Coach Venables' defense. I mean, you played against it. I went against it in practice every single day. It's exotic. It's confusing. They disguise it. They send everybody. It's just a thing where he's going to force you to make a decision probably quicker than you want to, one way or the other, with the coverage rotations, with the post-snap switches, things of that nature. And that's a lot for a young kid to take on the road as well. And so I think that ends up being the biggest factor. I think Bryce is going to be outstanding and grow up to be, a first-round draft pick, all those different things. But he might struggle in this game. And listen, Oklahoma is favored by 5.5. I feel comfortable with that. I think they win by a touchdown or a little bit more at home, and that's a big deal for them. That's going to be a huge piece. And so give me the Sooners to cover. And but ultimately, I think it's going to be a fun fight. It might be a touchdown late. It might be something they pull away with. But I am interested to see the chess match between arguably the best defensive coordinator ever, who's now their head coach, and this young freshman, to see how he handles it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big game for Venables to kind of get going. I know it's not an SEC game, but still they need some confidence as they get ready for their SEC